Live recording. Okay. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripe Show. It's Thursday morning, 9 o'clock. That's why we're live. Scott, what's up?
What's up, man? Fighting the old clock with the sleep here because I'm a masochist and watch every single game. And
You've been staying up the whole games?
I've been staying up every game. Yeah. They actually haven't been going like crazy late. I'm usually up until midnight anyway. I don't know why, but I am. And been watching all the games. So been
good on
you. I gotta tell you, there's something nice about a very quiet room after everybody's asleep, no one's around, and it's just you in the game, and you're just on like very chill mode because you're getting a little tired. Everything's quiet. I put the lights down. It's just like it's a nice setting, and especially when you get a sweep in Anaheim and 2 of 3 in Colorado. Colorado, it's 2 hours, not 3, but it's just it's a nice like downtime. I gotta.
Well, the games also started at 9:38 or something,
which is better.
10:08, yes. Which I think the Dodgers game Friday is going to be 10:08. I mean, it's a Friday, so it's a little bit easier. Although with kids, there's Friday, Saturday, Monday, too. It's all the same. They wake up same time no matter what.
But that's the until they get a little older. Kemp's starting to sleep in, which is nice after he stays up a little later. But I think the other 2 games, right, are not.
They should be I think it's the Fox game and then the ESPN game. So those would be like normal East Coast night games.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. I have not been able to do midweek West Coast games in quite some time. I know we've talked about this on the show. You're a night person though. I'm not a night person.
Yeah, we're definitely opposite in that. I'm not really. I mean, I can get up in the morning too after no sleep. I just train my body to have 0 sleep. I think at this point, like that's the biggest thing. So, but yeah, man, they're playing well on the West Coast. This is they're winning in different ways, which I really appreciate. I think they're on pace for 103 wins at this point right now, which we're approaching June. We're almost in June, and I think that's not insignificant. I think that the team hasn't really stood out as far as like. The greatest first half at this point. They're definitely winning in different ways. There are days that they don't get any runs at all, and they're striking out quite a bit. But on those days, it seems like the other side is doing something, or they're getting that clutch hit when they need to, and the pitching is doing well. So
the pitching's been unbelievable. I mean,
I like that makeup. I like the makeup of some adversity with a team, especially early on when you can win ugly, you can win by pouring on runs, and then you can win close because they've kind of done all of the above.
Well, they won a lot of close games this road trip, which is nice. So the pitching staff in May for another year, like I was saying this to you guys, I was like, it feels like May is the starting pitching staff month for the Yankees every single year. Doesn't matter who's in the rotation. It just seems like they dominate in May. This year in May, they're 9th in MLB in innings pitched, but they're 1st in ERA, strikeouts per 9, and home runs allowed per 9. And then they're also 9th in walks per 9. So obviously you'd like to see the walks per 9 improve a little bit, but they're not giving up runs. They're not giving up home runs, and they're striking out a ton of batters. And the makeup of the pitching staff is like completely different than it was last year, where they ranked 1st in so many categories in May. Last May, obviously, it was Luis Gil that was the standout that month. I guess who has been the standout this month? Carlos Rodon
has been amazing,
but but Gil was like the unexpected standout.
Well, it depends who you're asking about Rodon, but yes,
sure. I think Warren's been largely improved this month, and this is actually a huge development because their pitching staff was not good in April. Their starting pitching staff was not good in April, other than Max Fried. Remember, everyone's ERA was like north of 4.5, 5.
Yeah. There's been a big shift in the way that they're pitching, and they're going deep into games. All right, Logan dropped out. We're back in now. They're going deep into games, which I truly appreciate. When you have Carlos Rodon going 7 innings, throwing 105 pitches, when Boone's going out there You could tell that when Boone went out there to talk to him that he wasn't pulling him out. It was like a trot going out to talk to him. And I think he did that just so that Rodon understood that this was a different visit. This was just to give you a breather, understanding that this is your last pitcher or your last batter, 105 pitches, and going in. But 105 into the seventh, Rodon, he's been absolutely like lights out. And now there's two that have been, completely lights out with Rodon and Fried. And like, this is not an exaggeration. Like, both guys are in the Cy Young conversation at this point. Again, we're approaching June. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Well, also you have to rely on Fried and Rodon to go deep in games, especially with the way the bullpen had been taxed in the last few games. Like, you saw Weaver pitch in consecutive games and then not be available for the save situation in that Rodon game. Devin Williams had to get the save, which, my God, again, if you ever need proof baseball is mental, just look at Devin Williams, because he's been pitching pretty good, not in the ninth inning, and then all of a sudden he gets a ninth inning save situation, and what happens? It's one of those, hey, that's baseball Susan things.
Yeah. I was just praying to God that he got out of that unscathed, because, if he had given up that lead, it would have been mentally taxing on the fans mostly, I think, at this point, because Devin Williams, we all know he's going through some stuff and he just needs to figure it out.
Did you hear his quote after the game?
He was largely happy because he got out of it. I mean, frankly, if I'm him at that point, I am doing the same way. You know what I mean? Like, look, it wasn't pretty.
That's basically what he said. He goes, listen, I know it didn't look good.
Like, I get it.
I'm just happy I got out of it. That was basically his sentiment, which is true.
Right. And, you got guys swinging on 3-0 counts. Like, there's things happening with him. But maybe this is an opportunity that he's going to grow in and strengthen.
Well, no, we're going to Weaver's the closer though. Like,
I know, but
Weaver's the closer.
We're going to look in August and September, and this is what the narrative's going to be. Boone's going to be like, we have two closers. So when Weaver is throwing back-to-back nights, and just like last night, I mean, they might have three. You get Mark Leiter Jr. coming in there, and who's looked unbelievable this year, by the way. He's the guy that I thought we were getting. Well, no. Let me rephrase that. He's the guy that everybody said that I thought we were getting, because I did not see him pitching in Chicago much at all, if any. But yeah, he's been phenomenal, and he came in yesterday. I know he walked. Who was it that he walked? He walked someone to bring up Soler in the last inning, but able to get out of it. But his stuff was sharp too, man. Like, he goes in there with like, I don't give a rat's ass, like FU energy, and just shuts the door. So.
No, maybe it's because he's got the goatee back. Maybe that's why. Last year he had to shave the goatee when he came over, and now he's got the last pitch he got the cross strike 3.
It was a ball.
No, but did you see what Escara said? He goes, "Yeah, way outside."
Yeah. Well, he goes earlier in that count, he framed a ball that got pulled over as well. So, tip of the cap to him for completely fooling the umpire on the framing side of things, and getting that called strike. But again, you're looking at multiple guys in the back of that pen now who are put in these situations. And Williams was not available last night. Right. Weaver was not available last night. Obviously,
they had to rely on Hamilton, who'd been terrible. Hamilton had been really bad, and he had to go more than was an inning and 2/3.
Inning and a third, I think. He pitched well.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody pitched well. They won 1-0, so you can't have any issues when you're in a 1-run game. And that's the thing. Like, that's going back. Like, I know there's opportunities for us to talk about how many times they struck out. They strike out a lot. They do. And especially if you look at how that bullpen just kind of mowed down the Yankees last night. But Volpe comes up with the sacrifice fly. He's been, again, bases loaded, I think 3 for 9 with 10 RBIs, including the stats didn't change because it was a sac fly. I think he got another RBI, but so he's been very good in those situations, and they needed it. They needed him to do that in that moment.
Made the 1 run stand up in the first inning. It's crazy. Okay, I'm going to get the caveat out of the way. I'm not going to harp on this, but I have to say it. The Angels, the Rockies, and the Rangers, all who they've faced recently, all rank in the bottom of the league in offense. So that is the caveat, where the pitching staff has dominated teams that don't hit, which is what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Doesn't change the fact that, again, for the second consecutive May and the third time in 4 years, the Yankees pitching staff has been virtually the best in baseball in the month of May. I don't know what it is about May. Maybe you get the you work things out through April, your arm loosens up, everyone gets a little bit more relaxed. It's not like the names are the same. All the names are completely different this year.
Yeah, they are. And, I got to say, like, you're looking at the consistency that's come into, and, for this month, even if we're, looking at the offenses, obviously you play who's in front of you. I think the Angels are second to the bottom, like, with the Rockies with runs scored.
I think they rank third worst. Rockies are last. The Angels are third worst. And then the Angels are like ninth. The Rangers are third worst.
There was
the Rangers have been terrible,
which is weird because they have talent on that team. It's
not hitting, and they got
Marcus Semien has gone back to what he was before he got to, or maybe was that his first year in Texas where he was just like not very.
Well, he had a really good year. Who was it with Toronto that he got the big deal?
Yeah. But I just assume that team will start hitting. But when you're looking even before that with Rodon, obviously this is what his eighth straight start of. I think he's leading baseball in batting average against. Like,
yep.
The guy's been unbelievable, and I want to talk more about him because I think it's really interesting. We've kind of touched on his pitch mix and how he came over here as a 2-pitch guy, really. But he's certainly relying on his other stuff, his breaking stuff, and then also things that look like the fastball and the slider out of the hand a little bit more. He's got a lot more deception when it comes to his arsenal, and he's using it well.
And you're even getting good starts out of Yarborough. Like, Yarborough he was a last minute pickup on this team. He was in the bullpen in the first month of the season, and he was thrust into the rotation because they were finally like, all right, we've seen enough of Carrasco. We can't keep doing this. They trusted Warren, and they slammed Yarborough into the rotation, and he's given them every single time out 5+ innings of like decent ball.
Not just decent ball. He's been like extremely good.
I think his ERA is 2.75 as a starter.
They're all talking about him as well as like just a really tough at bat because
he throws junk.
But he's also a tall, lanky guy. He throws like 3/4 almost sidearm. He's just got a very different delivery.
Did you see the mile per hour discrepancy?
Yeah,
that he throws
69 to 89. I think it is cutter, sweeper, sinker, changeup.
So if you don't throw 95
up in 89, like you're dipping down, and guys just are not seeing that. You want to know how to combat where 5 guys on a staff that throw 99 to 100 miles per hour, throw 69 miles per hour, right, and see what happens.
It's because you've got 2 hard throwing lefties with Rodon and Fried. Then you've got the junk baller Yarborough throwing 69 to 89. 89 looks like 99 when you drop down into the 60s.
So Yarborough gave up that leadoff home run to Neto, who's one of the shining spots. Also, they're that catcher from, I think he's from Long Island, right? He's a local tri-state kid. He's been smashing the ball too. But after that, retired 18 of the next 20 batters, including 13 of his final 14 batters. So, he's one of those guys when you're looking at, if people are coming back at some point, Marcus Stroman's out there throwing, like, you don't come near this rotation when Yarborough's throwing the way he is, because unless Luis Gil's coming back at full strength, Yarborough stays in the rotation.
We're still a ways away from that, though. We had the same conversation last year when the pitching staff was so good throughout May and Garrett Cole was coming back, and we were like, okay, obviously Garrett Cole goes into the rotation, but the question is who comes out of the rotation. And do you remember what happened?
Injury.
Right. Clark Schmidt went down. Okay. So someone's going to go down. It happens in every position on every team. Like, it's just too long of a season. No one stays healthy the entire season anymore. It just doesn't happen. No one goes through the season with 5 starters making all 32 starts.
But when he's coming in and dealing, and he's a lot more stretched out now. So, I mean, he's a bona fide starter at this point with the amount of pitches that he's throwing. So, look, that's I love the fact that it's a different look. And you're right. Like, he's a soft throwing lefty. Like, they have 3 lefties in their rotation, which is crazy.
It's also unusual.
It's very unusual. But when you're having a very big difference, and you throw him in there after, facing Fried and Rodon, it's just such a different look. And even the arm angle, he's a lefty, but the arm angle is just such a different look. Just from that standpoint alone, that they're obviously having a very difficult time sizing him up.
I mean, they essentially replaced the crafty lefty Nestor Cortez with the crafty lefty Ryan
Yeah.
Yarborough.
Yeah. Very like different craftiness because of their build, I think. But yeah, pretty much. It's a good point.
So the pitching staff has been obviously the standout this month, like we've been talking about. But let's dive deeper on Rodon. But first, I want to tell you guys about LinkedIn. If you are a small business owner, you do not have the luxury of clocking out early because your business is on your mind 24/7, 365. That means when you're hiring, you need a partner that's going to grind just as hard as you do to find the right candidates. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. You post your job on LinkedIn, and with their new feature that can help you write job descriptions, you can get your job up and running quicker and faster. You can either post it for free or you can pay to promote it. But no, if you pay to promote it, it gets 3 times more qualified applications. So that's something you definitely want to think about. Getting the qualified applications is the most important thing. Based on LinkedIn data, 72% of small to medium businesses using LinkedIn say it helps them find high quality candidates faster. And you share with your network that you're hiring. You can put the hiring frame on your profile picture, and that alerts your network that you have jobs available, and more people are going to be going to your company's website and checking out those pages to get even better candidates. Posting a job on LinkedIn is not only going to get you better results, it's also super easy. Like I've been saying, last year over at Blue Wire, we posted a job to LinkedIn and we were able to get qualified applications in later that day that I was reviewing. I was amazed at how quickly it worked. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Bronx, linkedin.com/Bronx to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So you wanted to talk about Rodon's pitch mix, right?
Let's just talk about Rodon, period. Because first of all, the fan context here. You have like
the what context?
Fan context. You have you as a fan, I guess I should say. You have guys that are on like your villain list for the Yankees. You've always had these people, right? It was Glaber. It was like you go back into the day. It was Chase Headley.
Oh, you're talking about me specifically. I thought you were talking about fans in general.
No, yeah. You specifically. Chase Headley, Glaber Torres. Who am I missing here? Who's the second baseman that I didn't like that took
Stephen Drew.
Stephen Drew, thank you. Go even further back. I was just talking about Refsnyder last night, and that's why these.
Do you know that Rob Refsnyder has been in the league 10 years? Does that blow your mind?
Yeah, we had him on this podcast in 2016.
10 years ago. And like legitimately playing like a nice role for the Red Sox. For you.
No. He's not a nice role. He's a good player. He's a good player. Watch your mouth. Like I don't know what uniform he's wearing.
He's also like kind of a clubhouse leader over there.
Yeah, I love him.
So the hatred started really the first Yankee I remember truly having vitriol for was Randy Johnson. Because when he came over, I had such bad memories of him beating the Yankees with the Diamondbacks and obviously with the Mariners as well, although I was maybe a little bit too young to remember that. It was really with the Diamondbacks. He came over to the Yankees with such high expectations, and the first thing he did was throw a cameraman down on the street, if you remember that. He's like, get out of my face.
Yeah.
Okay, so he starts off on the a-hole foot. Then he pitches like crap for 2 seasons and leaves. So he was like number one. I was like, okay, I hate this guy. And then it was a while again before I really started. It was as I got older, a little bit more jaded, before I started finding these players. I'm like, they're just killing the team. They make mistakes or they do something that I just don't like. And with Glaber, obviously, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole, but it was just his mental lapses because I knew the talent was there. It was the mental lapses that annoyed the crap out of me. And with Rodon, I think it was similar.
Oh, I didn't even say anything about Rodon here yet. I'm leading to that. Okay. Don't bury my thing here. Yes. Rodon. Okay. Now let's talk about Rodon. You need to seriously consider taking this man off of your list and seriously consider not being stuck in one way and allowing people to grow as human beings and allow people to grow as baseball players and as New York Yankees in the uniform. Because I'll say this, his demeanor, the way that his attitude is, the way that he's, interacting with the player, like everything about him, I test just feels so much better, so much more comfortable, so much more laid back. Like, I don't know if you saw his reaction when Volpe fielded that ball up the middle. He dove for it, full stretched out, gets up, throws a guy out at first base. He just goes, wow, that was a nice play. Like, just like very casually looking back, He's comfortable in the beard and he's succeeding. He's doing well. He's comfortable in his own skin, and he's doing well. And like a lot of the things that you're looking at that cause disdain, I think, in players, I don't think they're there anymore. I just don't think they're there anymore. And so when you have 8 starts, like that's a good sample size to start.
Not even close
changing.
enough.
It's a good while in season, because there need to be layers of disdain. While in season, it's enough of a sample size to be like, you know what? All right, okay, you're
fine.
You're climbing up here. You're doing well. I don't look at you and need to turn the television off.
I agree that he's been tremendous. Obviously, the numbers don't lie. The attitude thing, I think the attitude is directly tied to the performance. Like if you're playing well, you're going to have a good attitude. If you're not playing well, you're going to have a bad attitude. Like that's, I think, pretty simple. I think when Rodon came over here, he was with high expectations, a big salary, and he, in his first season, was a complete, utter disaster. Not just injuries, but poor performance. And going back to Anaheim, like little redemption, because remember he flipped off that fan in Anaheim in his first season.
Yeah.
So that sort of set the tone.
That's right. It was in Anaheim. I forgot about that.
That set the tone.
Essentially like, Yankee Stadium West.
Right. That just set the tone for like, oh, this guy is not a good guy. Like I don't like him. And he that season blew off Matt Blake. Didn't he blow off Matt Blake towards the end of that year as well? Like in his last start or something like that?
Maybe.
So there's a lot of
I choose to forget things like this at this point.
So I'm just explaining to you how I got to this point with Rodon.
Yeah.
Then last year he was hot and cold. He had high highs and low lows. Ultimately in the playoffs, I thought he was okay. I mean, obviously that first start in the playoffs was he was like way too amped up. We talked about that, and he kind of over amped himself into
he made the adjustment.
Not great start, and he made the adjustment in his next couple starts. This year, have I been killing Rodon this year?
No, you haven't. I'm just talking about you as a fan and you and the way that they're, because I will say, we're talking about him as a pitcher when we're looking at what his numbers are, and you're looking at, he came over here as a 2-pitch guy. We know that slider, fastball, like that primarily, and still primarily that's what he is. Those are his 2 best pitches.
He came over here also succeeding as a 2-pitch pitcher.
Okay. But he found opportunities or situations where it wasn't working as well, and he's made the adjustment. And I give him a ton of credit as a veteran guy who's making all this money to come in here and change in the way, be open to the possibility of doing things different. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will not do that. And when you're looking at the way he's thrown the ball, the changeup has become a really good pitch for him. And he's mixing these things in. So now when you're looking at the fastball effectiveness, the slider effectiveness, he's mixing in a curveball, a sinker more than he had in the past. The changeup, you're now getting to me, a complete pitcher, a guy who's just not up there throwing hard and changing up a fastball with a slider that has almost 2-seam action because he throws it hard. You're seeing a guy up there who's pitching. And pitching well, and he's locating.
He's not walking hitters. He never gave up a lot of hits. The number of hits he gave up was never the issue. It was he would fall behind in counts, he would walk hitters, and then he would give up big home runs. That was how he got in trouble. There's only really been one start this year. I mean, his first couple starts weren't great, but specifically that start against the Giants, remember? He hung a couple balls in that game and gave up a 3-run home run or something like that. Yeah. So listen, I agree with everything you're saying about Rodon. I am not killing him. I have not killed him, and I'm actually giving him credit for his performance this year.
Well, you have to at this point.
I can't.
Personally, he's backed you into a corner.
No, but me personally, I'm not going to take 2 months and be like, oh, he's fixed. He's all good in my eyes going forward. I'm going to need to see it for longer than 2 months. I'm going to need to see it in the biggest moments of the season. I'm going to need to see it against the best teams in the league from him, because otherwise, ultimately, I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's just how I'm wired.
I know that. And people who've listened to this podcast for a long time understand that. And that's just, the nature of, I'm looking for the opportunity to say, good job and smile. And you're just waiting for that other thing to happen. And sometimes, depending on who the player is, I get it. That's me as a Jets fan, to be honest. But it's for very different reasons. But when you're looking at the pitch mix, so I pulled some numbers. I was looking on Baseball Savant. Look at that. I went deep, guys. I went deep. looking at some
Did your
numbers
computer
here.
crash when you open that website like mine does every single time?
No, not. It only crashes when I live stream with you. Apparently, that's when we start
Baseball
shutting down.
Savant. Actually, Fangraphs is the worst. Trying to load Fangraphs on your computer, you'd think you're like hacking into some government like protected site. It's so slow.
So 2025, just want to throw the numbers out here and what his pitch mix looked like compared to last year. So 2024, four-seam fastball, slider, changeup, curveball, cutter. Did not really throw the sinker. It looks like he threw the sinker, according to them, one time. But he threw the cutter 3.5%, the curveball 8%, the changeup just under 13, slider 26, four-seam fastball 49.4. And now into 25, you're looking at that four-seam fastball down 8%, 41%. So he's throwing it 41%, which is 8% lower, which is significant. The slider at 28%, which is a tick higher. The changeup, which is the biggest difference, I think, when you're throwing in here. And to me, that's playing off of the fastball. So the changeup's at 16%. You're seeing that extra percentage, hit that changeup, whereas last time he was throwing more fastballs. And to me, that's such an important point. When you're throwing the changeup in a fastball count, when guys are looking at your tape and they know what you are in a career and they're expecting that fastball to work off of that slider and they get a changeup, now they have something very, very different to look for. Now that at-bat becomes extremely different. When you're throwing in a changeup in 2025, which is at 85 miles per hour, versus a 94 mile per hour, when you're throwing that in there, 6%, 5% of the times you're taking off the fastball and you're throwing the changeup. It does change the at-bat. It changes the at-bat. And then the other significant difference is that this year he is throwing a sinker at 8%, whereas last year he did not throw it. So that's a big deal. And again, that's two pitches now. You have a sinker, which is working off of a fastball, and you have a changeup, which is working off the fastball. That's two pitches now that is giving you a different look as a batter with the outcome and the movement of the pitch when it's crossing the plate. But out of that hand, you're looking at the spin and you're saying, that's not that different. That looks like a similar pitch, but the action is different. And he's getting a lot more swings and misses.
I think you're overblowing the pitch mix a little bit because last year combined four-seam fastball and slider was 75% of his pitches. This year, four-seam fastball and slider is 69% of his pitches. Nice. It's not that different. It's yes, he's mixing in other stuff slightly more, but I think the biggest difference for me is his fastball location. His fastball command has been far and away better. How many times did we complain about this guy just going up there and chucking his fastball and having it either miss location high and out of the zone or be fat in the middle of the plate? And when you locate your fastball, you can be still a 69% two-pitch pitcher. That's still basically a two-pitch pitcher.
When you're not throwing other pitches for strikes and you're not working off of that fastball as much as he is this year, you have to be absolutely perfect with that fastball.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. When you are mixing in a sinker and when you're mixing in a changeup, again, in those fastball counts, in those opportunities where it looks like a fastball, and you don't need to be perfect with your four seam anymore. You don't need to be perfect because you've changed now what the batter is expecting. They don't have to just sit two pitches. They got to look for other things because you're proving that you can throw those for strikes and then you're working off that fastball. That's when the fastball becomes that much more dynamic. Now you can throw it out of the zone and get swings and misses because now you have that shadow of doubt ever more so in the batter's eye. And as a batter, I understand what you're saying. Like the percentages don't look that different, but the fact that that he can throw a changeup and he can throw a sinker for a strike and it's an effective pitch changes the at bat.
It does, but like if you're scouting Rodon and you're the opposing team, you're still going up there being like, I'm looking fastball slider. It's 69%.
You can look foolish.
You could, but you could
for strikes.
But like also look at the fastball velocity. Last year 95.4, this year 94.3. So a little over a mile per hour lower in velocity. That could also just be an indication that he's just locating it better. Maybe he's taking a percentage off to try and just locate it better.
I don't really see much in that. It's like, I don't even know what the hell that means, but the difference between those two pitches over this amount of
a mile per hour is not nothing.
Nah, I think it's kind of nothing. But the curveball also 8%. Last year he was throwing at 6%, so it's similar. But the sinker's a big deal
because he's throwing a sinker. Last year he was not throwing a sinker
of the time. And again, that is a variation of the fastball. So to me, like, I know people are talking about that changeup as a big deal, but when you're looking at the fact that he's throwing now 2 pitches off of that fastball, yeah, I think it's making a world of difference. And again, like this is a confidence guy, right?
He's also abandoned the cutter.
Yes. So obviously he's got more of a feel for the sinker than he does the cutter, both fastball, variations. But at the same time, you're looking at this guy. He's a confidence guy. Not to say that anybody isn't, but he wears his confidence on his sleeve. And when he's not confident, we can see it. We can all see it. And right now, dude is reeling in confidence.
Dealing, not reeling. Reeling means you're struggling.
He's doing both. He's reeling and dealing. Okay.
Reeling and dealing.
The guy is on one, and I'm here to see it. I think it's fun to watch. I like him with because you know what, like in the beginning when we're looking at that type of attitude, having that type of attitude, that type of guy who's just like super intense. I want that guy on my team. As long as he can bottle it for good and use his powers for good, then that is a good guy to have on your squad.
Is he going to pitch in the Dodger series? He's going to pitch the last game of the Dodger series, right? He would pitch the Sunday of the Dodger series.
I think
he can. They listed it as TBD because it's technically Yarborough spot, but they could pitch Rodon on regular rest
because today's an off day. Yeah. I wonder what they'll do because I know they've been talking about how. What's up?
I think they go Rodon
and just push Yarborough to the next. Yeah, because they've been talking about how the lack of off days and all the travel, like they've been mindful of, especially the bullpen. Like that's why we saw Warren unavailable this week and some other things. So yeah, I mean, I want to see I want to see Rodon pitch against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium. Like that's a test. Like,
no
listen,
doubt.
I love me some Ryan Yarborough, but
ODU, shout out to Old Dominion Monarchs.
The other thing about, so Schmidt really needed that start last night because I think he had been sort of the odd man out this month in just how he had been pitching. He'd been struggling a little bit. His numbers after last night look a lot closer to last year than they did prior to last night. Obviously, one start can do that when you haven't had many starts. One slight thing I did notice with him, though, he is giving up more fly balls versus ground balls year over year, which I think has led to just a little bit more damage that he's been giving up. Because when you keep the ball on the ground, damage is harder to the other team needs. It's hard to do damage on ground balls versus fly balls. Basically,
a lot more ground balls than fly balls. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how that number evens out, just because there's the sample size is obviously limited with him getting kind of getting a late start. But last night I thought he was good. Was relatively efficient. For Clark Schmidt standards, getting into going through 6, and I thought he was good. And again, like, when you're looking at what this offense is on the other side of the Angels, like, you need to use this as an opportunity to get right, to like, you can make some mistakes against this team, but also you don't want to make the mistake to the wrong guy. Like, that's the thing. I think with a team like this and the team like the Rockies, and that's what kind of bit them in that one loss of the series, of this stretch with the Rockies. And you're looking at that like, oh, come on, man. Like, this team is like historically bad. You cannot be losing to this team. And after you see the one guy on that team, McMahon, who has the opportunity to do the damage, you want to avoid that, obviously. And there's a few guys on this Angels team that have that opportunity, but again, pitched well.
Did I see a stat that it was the Rockies game was the largest win percentage discrepancy like in baseball history or something like that? After like a certain number of games, like the Rockies had like a 190 win percentage. The Yankees had like a 620 win percentage, and it was the largest disparity of victory or something like that.
So according to Elias Sports Bureau, it is tied. This is the loss in that first game, tied for the second largest winning percentage disparity in a loss at least 50 games into a season in the expansion era since 1961. That's the stat that you're referring to.
Like the Rockies,
the win percentage for the Rockies was a 160 entering the game, and the Yankees was 612.
I mean, I don't think we realize how bad they are. Like they're not even like a AAA quality team. It's crazy.
Tanner Gordon pitched the game of his life. 27-year-old right-hander comes in from AAA Albuquerque. And this was so funny because this used to be like a thing for a while. I feel like for like a solid 5 years, 6 year stretch where the Yankees, if they didn't see a guy, if he was a new pitcher in the league or they hadn't seen him before, they always struggled. It was just like death, taxes, and the Yankees
struggling against a rookie starter,
an opponent coming in for the first time. Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. Like, dude got off the plane and went and threw, like, not much time in between, and got it. Maybe there's an adjustment to the altitude. Maybe there's some things going on there.
Hitting should be better in the altitude.
Yeah, but your body doesn't feel good. Okay, I remember the first time I went out to Colorado. My brother lives there, so I've been out there a few times now. But since I went out there for a bachelor party, and I'll never forget this. I got off the plane. These idiots came and like picked me up in a van. Had been out there for 3 days, so I walked
an unmarked van.
Yeah, pretty much. I pretty much got abducted. I walked into something that I wasn't just ready for. I knew what was coming, but I wasn't ready for it in that moment. And we went immediately backcountry skiing. I didn't. I don't even ski very well. I'm certainly not going to kill myself on the back. I'm not going to kill myself in the back. But I went while they were getting all ready. I got out of the van, sat somewhere in the back to put my boots on, and I almost passed out, just like bending over to pass my boots up. Like, holy shit! Like, this is different. Feels different. I get it.
I had a similar experience where years ago I was connecting through Denver on a flight, and I was late, so I had to literally sprint down the terminal for my connection flight. And when I got to the flight, I was so winded. I was like, am I having a panic attack? What is going on? And it took me a few minutes to realize, oh, right, the altitude. And I didn't have time to get water. And I was literally like, couldn't breathe. The flight attendant had to like bring me water because she could see I was about to pass out.
Yeah. No, it makes a big difference when you're not used to it. Obviously, you haven't been there. So, who knows? Maybe that was something they just they made that trip and played that game pretty quick. So it could have been something, but they took care of business. They won the series. And now is it the 8th? Is it 7th, 8th?
7th consecutive. 7th. So the Rockies was the 7th. So that means they've won 8, or just included whatever it is. It included, I think it might have included.
That was the 6th. This is the 7th. Yeah. So they've been winning series, and like at the end of the day, we know that's the name of the game to go into the division and win a division. If you want to win, the
division's been terrible.
The division has been terrible. The Orioles.
We should talk about that for a second. Like the Orioles, did we mention they fired Hyde? Did we talk about that yet?
I think we may have touched on it, but at this point, like, you get fired.
The Red Sox are a dumpster fire. Now Bregman's hurt. The Red Sox are reeling. Rob Refsnyder's their clubhouse leader, so things aren't great.
Bregman's gonna be out for a while too, isn't he? He's got that
2 months. I think 2 months.
He's got that quad, man. I'm still feeling my quad from 2 years ago, softball injury. Tanaka running down the face or first base path.
Did I not tell you in spring training this Devers thing? Like, I think is gonna have a negative impact on this team. Him refusing to play.
Yeah, but he's having a good year.
They needed him at first base. And he's basically said, go F yourself. And then they could use him at third base now. And he's like, go F yourself.
Yeah, I know. The way
that has a negative impact on the clubhouse.
Was not great. Yeah, Rob Refsnyder's trying to solidify that clubhouse and ground everybody.
He is. I saw like a headline where Rob Refsnyder speaks out or something. I'm like, what is going on? What Twilight Zone am I living in?
It is weird that Rob Refsnyder, 10-year vet, is a clubhouse leader for the Red Sox at this point. And
yeah, like the moment Rob
I had like a slight obsession with him as a player.
Not slight.
He was just like a beacon of hope. Okay. And then they refused to play him in the position because Stephen Drew, who came from the Red Sox, by the way.
That's right. It all comes full circle.
Yeah. No, but he'll always have a special place in my heart.
We thought going into the season, okay, at least one wild card spot's going to come out of the AL East. And now that doesn't look like it. The AL Central is playing exceptionally well. Once again, I am still similar to Carlos Rodon. Until the AL Central proves they're real, I don't believe they're real. The Yankees, anytime that they have not won a playoff series against a non-AL Central team, going back to 2012. So it's been a while. As long as the road goes through the AL Central, I'm okay.
Name this player. 158 at bats, 285 batting average, 5 home runs, 27 RBI, 4 stolen bases, 818 OPS.
Name this player. Is this a Yankee or is this a
Just
AL
name that-
Central? I
name
don't
that
know.
player.
That's a hard test.
Is this Rob Refsnyder?
No, it's
Oh.
not. Rob Refsnyder's numbers are way better than that. Come on. No.
I think Rob Refsnyder is hitting over 300, right?
Yeah. Oh, I got his numbers too. Gleyber Torres having a fantastic
That's
year.
not surprising though.
Having
Like,
a fantastic year as the second baseman of the Detroit Tigers. Also, I don't have
What's his
numbers in front of
OPS?
me. 818.
okay, I mean, go back to the 2 years ago. That was kind of what he did for the Yankees. No one ever questioned Gleyber Torres' ability to hit a baseball. That was never in question.
Here's what I'm afraid of, okay? And I've been waiting for one of these things to happen. And your cockiness and arrogance towards the AL Central
Was
and
proven last year.
And now we have Gleyber Torres, who has a vendetta against the
Oh
Yankees.
my God!
and you,
If the Yankees
Big
playoff road
and
goes
Detroit-
through Gleyber Torres, woo!
and
I will be so happy.
the other teammate who's having a good year again, I don't have his numbers right in front of me, but is Tommy Canley, which
Okay.
he's been good pretty much everywhere he's gone.
Bounced around
had a
team
good
to
career.
team at this point.
He's had a good career though. Like the guy's a solid pitcher. But yeah, the Detroit Tigers looking a little different.
Sure. And they had a good year last year, surprising year, made the playoffs. And yeah, Yankees might have a better record than them now, right? But they had the best record in the American League up until last week or so.
The Tigers have 2 more wins than the Yankees.
Okay.
Yeah, they went on a pretty long winning streak, didn't they?
The Yankees
37-20.
they played Detroit in Detroit, right? And did they lose that series? The Yankees? They did
think
play
they
in Detroit,
did.
didn't they?
It was
they
cold.
played in Detroit and lost 2 out of 3.
And they have not played at Yankee Stadium yet, I don't think.
They will play them at Yankee Stadium in September.
Oh wow, spread out.
Looking
So-
at Detroit Tigers 200.
It's a long way. We've got 4 more months, Scott, before we have to worry about the playoffs. But if the Yankees have a road through the AL Central to get into the World Series again, I'm not going to be losing sleep over
Well,
that.
you want to hear something funny? Is that you might love this. Right now, the Detroit Tigers are 37-20 in first place. The Cleveland has 30 wins. Minnesota has 30 wins. Kansas City has 30 wins. Okay. The other team in the American League that has 30 wins, Houston Astros. So right now, 5-4, they're tied. So, but let's just say the Astros have 29 wins. Okay. For this conversation right now, it's the Yankees and the AL Central in the playoffs with the Mariners.
Pack your bags for the World Series once again, boys.
So yeah, there's a lot. I don't know. Detroit, of all these teams, when you're looking at the AL Central, Detroit, I said this last year towards the end, they have a lot of really young talent. They don't feel like an AL Central team. They have a good manager. They have some veteran presence. They're different. I think they're different, but I think your tune's going to come around a little differently with the Detroit Tigers because I think they have more talent than what we've seen in that division. I think they are a little different. Their makeup is different.
Okay. Well, then why did they lose to who'd they lose in the playoffs to last year? Was that Cleveland? Who
That
the
was
Yankees
but that was a year, they were
mopped the floor with?
they were out of their mind coming into the playoffs. Like they got there in a way that was like, unexpected. This is the year where they've tasted it a little bit. It's kind of like the, you're looking at the, when the Yankees had success in 2017, you're like, oh, 18, 19, 20, we're going to, here we go. Dynasty.
How'd that go?
And then what happened?
I know.
Just to wrap this up, so they play the Dodgers this weekend, obviously, but then they go on a stretch: Cleveland and Boston at home, and Kansas City and Boston on the road for over a 2-week stretch. Do you classify that as a tough stretch, or is it an easy stretch?
No, that's not an easy stretch. You've got the Dodgers, that's tough. Then you've got at home, first time you're playing the Red Sox this year, even though they've been struggling. I'm never going to classify the Red Sox as an easy stretch. You said Cleveland at home.
Cleveland at home before the Red Sox, but yes.
Okay. And then Kansas City and Boston on the road. That's not an easy stretch of 5 series, including the Dodgers series.
I didn't think so, but we were talking down on the Red Sox and how much the AL Central sucks.
Well, it's a difficult stretch, I'd say, and when you're looking at the Red Sox,
I'm not gonna go that far.
When you start it with the Dodgers, yeah, it is. And then Boston is not that far off as far as wins for getting into the play. Like they're at 27 wins. They're 4 games under 500, and they have been struggling. But it's not like they don't have talent on that team. They do. And when you play, like you said, like Yankees Red Sox just is different sometimes.
let's put it this way. If they go through this stretch 500, you're going to be satisfied or disappointed?
I'll be disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Well,
because
they're 9-1 in their last 10.
Exactly, and I think this team is far and away the best team in the American League.
But I would say a difficult stretch. If you come out 500, you're kind of like, okay, we kind of weathered the storm of that difficult stretch. And I agree with you. If they come out of this stretch 500, which I don't even know if they can because it might be an odd number of games, but you get my point. Where okay, this Dodger series is by far the hardest one. Okay, so they could go 6-6.
Well, 15 games actually if you include the Dodgers.
So the Dodgers series. Obviously, you want to win the series, but if you lose 2 out of 3, no one's going to be shocked because you're playing in LA. And then you play 6 games at home against Cleveland and Boston. You've got to go 4-2 in that. And then you would like to also win the series on the road against Kansas City and Boston. Again, because I'm not saying they're going to be easy victories like we have maybe had recently, but Boston has not been a good team this year. They're below 500. Kansas City, you're better than Kansas City despite their record. You are better than Kansas City. You should win a series against Kansas City.
I don't disagree. So yeah, I just think my expectation for this team right now, because I think that they are, one, playing well, and two, just have more talent. I expect them to win, but it wouldn't be shocking if they came out 500 against us, because again, it is a good stretch, or it is a good group of teams.
It's
the Yankees are playing really well right now.
They are. It's certainly a harder stretch than the last 2 weeks. Like, no question. And the offensive inconsistency, you kind of touched on this in the middle. I was looking, you remember earlier in the year, I was like, oh, the Yankees 35% of the time or something. I forgot the exact number, scored
100% of the time.
You scored 3 or fewer runs or something like that, or 2 or fewer runs. And I was looking last year because I just felt like when last year the Yankees, I just felt the offense was a bit more consistent. And it actually turned out it was similar numbers where it scored 3 or fewer runs in essentially the same percentage of games.
You're getting more contributors this year, though. When you look up and down the lineup,
yeah, but I thought like the Yankees lineup, I just thought like optically, I thought the Yankees offense was more consistent last year than this year. But my point is the numbers are not bearing that out. And I don't even know how you want to look at consistency. I don't think just average run per game is a good measure of consistency, because that does not account for the fact I score 10 one night and 1 the next night. Okay, I score 5.5 runs per game. All is good. Well, no, that's inconsistent. And I know you're not going to literally score 5.5 runs every single night, but you don't want to see those disappearing nights. I mean, they won a game 1-0 last night, but like you want to score more than 1 run. So
of course you do, but that's the thing. Like when you're playing 162 games, all of this stuff is going to happen within it. And it's a matter of, can you win in these situations and still account for the fact that your offense isn't going to be there. And that's
why do you think
so?
Saying. I was trying to get to this question. Why do you think we've seen a little bit of boom or bust on this team, where one night they can score? I mean, how many innings have they had where they scored like 10 runs? Hasn't that been like 2 or 3?
The third. That was the third 10 run. I have that. It's in the notes.
And they also had 2 games earlier this year where they hit 3 home runs in the first. Like these crazy highs we've seen this year with this offense, and then we've seen a lot of low lows with tons of strikeouts and 0, 1, or 2 runs. Why do you think that we've seen that sort of boom or bust? I have a theory.
Well, I think when you put the strikeouts into play, when you have this, like the team strikes out a good amount. When you have that, you're naturally going to have some boom and bust mixed in.
Sure. So my theory is that just by the nature of the players they're putting in the lineup, they're just not as consistent players. Like you're getting top performances randomly out of Ben Rice and Trent Grisham this year. No one expected that to happen. You're also, on any given night, you have DJ LeMahieu, who's ancient in the lineup. You've got Yorbit Vivas playing on certain nights. You had Oswaldo Cabrera playing before he went down with injury. You've got Oswald Peraza, who's had a couple of nice hits recently. But you get these like what are more or less replacement level players making up 3 or 4 spots in your lineup on any given night. You're going to have boom or bust. It's just because they're replacement level players. And you don't have what you had last year, which was every single night. I know.
But you do, because Goldschmidt is giving you that right now.
But they've been shifting him around, and the shifting around might sound insignificant, but I do think it does matter. When last year, every single lineup, Soto was number 2, Judge was number 3. This year, you've had Judge go from 2 to 3. You've had Goldschmidt go from 1 to 3 to 4. You've had Volpe go from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. You've had Bellinger hit. Has Bellinger hit in all spots in the lineup? Because I think he might have. You've had Wells bounce up and down the lineup. Wells was hitting leadoff on opening day, and he's been hitting 7th or 8th recently. When you're constantly trying to shuffle the lineup around and find matchups, I just think the nature is you're going to be more inconsistent because you can't possibly hit matchups every single night. The odds are against you.
Yeah, well, I just don't think there's a natural fit for this lineup yet. I think that's kind of what it is. I think Boone's still, early in the year is really searching for that perfect lineup. And
I don't think it exists with this player mix, though.
Well, because this isn't going to be the player mix that you're going to see later in the year either.
How much different is it going to be?
Look, I love Grisham and what he's done. I think it's been fantastic. Obviously, like big part of the reason for the Yankees offensive success and up and down the lineup is Trent Grisham and what he's done. But I feel like we're getting to the end of the road with me seeing Trent Grisham hitting in the 2 spot.
How about that slap double down the left field line last night?
We're just approaching that. You know what I mean? Like he's earned the right to be there because of what he's done, no doubt about it. And he's playing a lot more consistently. He's earned that right. 100%. Boone's in a spot where like, when is it starting to tear off? And maybe he's just, slumping at this point and picks it back up and becomes that guy again. But I don't know. I'm getting close to feeling like we're really trying to push the limits here with what he is. That said, Volpe, I want to talk about him for a second. When you're looking at, again, I go to eye test a lot when I'm looking at Volpe, and there was a cherry picked stat I had in here at some point. It was like the last 27 games he was hitting like 280 or something like that. That's fine. Cherry picked. I get it. But that is a decent sample size when you look across that total.
It's more or less a month.
Yeah. And I want to point out the at bat that he had. It was a 4th inning on Monday, right? It was the first game against the
double.
Angels. Yes, it was the 4th inning. Bases were loaded. And again, Volpe's been very good in clutch situations. We've talked about with Volpe. Like, this isn't something that you can really deny. When the pressure's on, for some reason, he does feel it and uses it for his for positive. Like he doesn't get pressure. He doesn't feel pressure. It seems like under those moments. But yeah, 3 for 9 at that point after this with 10 RBIs with the bases loaded, but delivered on a huge double, cleared the bases. And here's the best part about that. It was an 0-2 count and he hit a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. And when you're talking about how he had been struggling against the fastball and really just been exposed against the fastball, this actually goes back to the OPS stat with the fastball being the
fastball on the last pitch,
last pitch of the at bat. He drilled that ball, stayed in there, and to his credit, also went down 0-2 on good pitches where he could have swung and missed. And maybe that changes the at bat because his eye level is a little different, but he spit on it, understood that it wasn't a pitch for him to actually do damage with and barrel up, took the pitch. And, Boone's been talking about him, middle of the field approach, go back to
that's one thing I've noticed.
Yeah.
So
he's just
Volpe,
trying to drive the ball up the middle. And like, that's again, like that is how he succeeds. A line drive guy, gap to gap. That should be Anthony Volpe's game plan. In 10 years, we look back on his career. He should be, ranking.
Listen,
he should
if Rob Refsnyder can have a 10-year career, so can Anthony Volpe.
Let's have it here, please, if that is the case. But he should be ranking among the top Yankees year after year in doubles. Like he should be that guy.
Contact guy. We've said this all along. He's a contact guy. He's an up the middle
power. I just want to see, he doesn't need to hit home runs because the power into the gaps, that double power is going to go over the fence. You know what I mean? Like naturally that goes over the fence 10 to 15 times a year.
Especially at Yankee Stadium. We've seen him hit a lot of home runs to right field at Yankee Stadium. If he can hit 15 home runs is more than enough out of him if he's hitting in the high 200s, like a 285 batting average, 275, 285 batting average with a 340, 350 on base percentage. Absolutely. That is more than enough. And I've seen that approach where it doesn't look like he's trying to swing out of his shoes and hit a 400-foot home run down the left field line, which that's when he gets in trouble. That's when he can't catch up to the fastball. And that's when he strikes out a lot versus I'm going to put barrel on the ball and just try and hit the ball to center field. And that's when he looks like a good hitter.
It's all about
it's similar with Anthony Volpe. It's similar to what I've said about Gleyber Torres, I think they're completely different players, but I'm not questioning Anthony Volpe's talent. Obviously, he was a top prospect and a talented enough guy to get to the major leagues. It's about where's the consistency? Where's being the player self-aware? Like, it's almost like self-awareness and recognition. Volpe, you're not a 35 home run guy. Gleyber probably also wasn't a 35 home run guy. Don't try and be a 35 home run guy.
Agreed. It's about making those adjustments. And shout out to John S, who's calling out the Volpe heating up in the chat here. Yeah, you know, I said this in the last episode. Like, I think Volpe feels like he's trending in the right direction with him as a player and the progress that he's making. It's just a matter of, you know, staying consistent with that and being able to extend it over a long period of time. And you know, again, we'll see. And raising the floor of what his slumps look like. And you're just going to see those numbers, you know, track higher as it goes on.
And he's getting big RBIs. Like the last few nights on this road trip, they've been big RBIs in game moments, which is huge, which is great to see.
Yankees won't win this series if it's not for Anthony Volpe with the bases loaded.
You mentioned, or a sac fly last night. You mentioned, that was bases loaded, right? You mentioned, you think the mix up of the lineup is going to look a lot different. Like, unless they make an acquisition, like we're talking about when Jazz Chisholm comes back, maybe playing third base, they're going to get him some rehab games at third base. I think that's smart because I don't think DJ's been good, but he's been able to stay on the field. And I think they're probably concerned with sticking him over at third base than his ability to stay on the field for whatever reason. So Jazz played third base last year.
Like why?
I don't know. I feel like it's like a house of cards and they're worried like one strong gust and things are going to fall apart with him.
Well, at the end of the day, like his
I don't disagree.
His natural position is second base. I just, you know, when you're looking at a guy that I think he seems like he's moving fine. He seems like he's moving like DJ LeMahieu. It's not like DJ LeMahieu would ever fleet of foot. He's always had good footwork in the way that he can move. But he's certainly not like an agile or fast guy, but he knows how to play the position. He has got a good feel for it.
He's not hitting though. He does not.
He's not hitting right now. Yeah. He's also, you know, he said he's been a bit unlucky. I bet if you look at some of those nerd stats about
hitting like 160.
Yeah. All right.
So if he got luckier, he'd be hitting 200.
Yeah. Let's just see. He looks good. Let him get into it.
But my point is, I don't think with this lineup, you're ever going to find like the natural 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this lineup. There always going to be a bit of shifting around depending on the lefty righty, who's on the mound, if there's guys reverse splits, all that kind of stuff, yada, 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 because I think that's kind of how the roster is built. When Jazz comes back, he'll be a stable force in the lineup, hopefully. But again, I also don't know that he has a set spot in the lineup. He's going to be moving around as well.
You know, I'm surprised they haven't put Austin Wells in the leadoff spot more often, just to see if that can't get him.
He was terrible in May.
I'm just saying, just to like, you know, get him some higher quality pitches to see if they can get him going. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did that at some point when they, you know, instead of having Goldschmidt in the leadoff spot, or I'm sorry, instead of having Grisham in that leadoff spot, if Grisham starts to continue to cool off, and you're looking at for a lefty in that leadoff spot, wouldn't surprise if you saw him there.
Think about the leadoff hitters: Wells, obviously Goldschmidt, Grisham, Rice,
Bellinger.
Am I missing someone?
They've mixed it up.
That is a lot of guys to have hit leadoff. Not even through.
But it's been working also.
No, I know, but it's just. But I think it's just my point is with this lineup. That's kind of how it's built. That's kind of how this player mix is. Okay, this guy's going to be here tonight. I'm shifting this guy down because he doesn't have a good matchup against him. Other than Judge, who's basically always 2-3, which again, I would just always hit Judge 2, no matter what.
I'm not gonna lie. Like they've been playing well. There's only a couple things that you can really nitpick on. And for me, when I see Grisham up in that 2 spot, it just doesn't feel right. Like
because you're potentially
it doesn't feel right for him getting up before Judge. Yeah,
right. You're getting potentially one more at bat for Grisham on a given night than Judge, and like, no, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. And it's starting to feel, you know,
because Grisham is performing like he's gonna perform with him. You know, it's also funny. I look at Aaron Judge's batting average. I think it's 391 now. I'm like, he's struggling.
Yeah, when you see it over a stretch. Yeah, I mean, him hitting 400 is, I mean, in this day and age, would be one of the greatest sports.
I wanted it
feats
to go a little
ever.
longer though. Like, listen, he could
Gone
go.
on pretty far.
No, I know, but he could go. He could get it hot for the next 2 weeks and be back up to 400.
Yeah.
It's just I wanted it to be, because realistically, I think you have to make it after the All-Star break before you can even entertain the 400 batting average thing, because it's so hard to do. You have to be so unbelievably consistent. And with him, I do think a guy that walks a lot is the guy that's going to be able to do it, because that doesn't count against you. But it also has maybe a potential negative of, okay, I've seen one pitch tonight to hit. Yeah. And I just fouled that ball off because it's baseball.
Oh, and we saw that last night against Kikuchi, who has been a thorn in the Yankee side forever. Since
that freaking guy.
Yeah, he's been a problem for the Yankees, no matter who's in the lineup.
Kikuchi, Evaldi, doesn't matter, can't hit him.
Yeah, and intentionally walk Judge.
That was the right move, though.
Washington's just going up there doing. I gotta say, I love Ron Washington. He's such a dude. He's such a baseball guy.
He's been around a while.
Just hitting lines in the dugout.
He's doing Stephon Diggs.
His walk out to the pitcher is just like just a classic. I don't give a fuck. Walk.
Was he the Rangers manager back in like the early 2010s when they beat the Yankees? I think he was, right?
Yeah, I think so. Because did he have two stints there? Was he canned and then brought back at one point? I don't remember.
All I know is Ron Washington has looked the same age for 20 years.
Hell of a
he's looked 73 years old for 50 years.
Yeah. I love him. I do. If Ron Washington was the Yankees
baseball
manager
guy
tomorrow, I'd be all right with that.
Baseball guy. All right. Well, anything else you want to touch on? I'm pumped for this weekend, man. I like I said, at this point, I can only get up for so many Rockies and Angels games, but Dodgers go, World Series matchup again at Dodger Stadium. This is a fun weekend.
All I know is they better be out there playing pepper, working on fundamentals early. Okay.
Just show the Dodgers.
Like, I know the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, sometimes they do like concerts before the game. Like all of a sudden,
God,
I've talked about this. I've been to Dodger Stadium one time.
Fat Joe lost the Yankees the World Series.
It's true. And you got guys like Jalen Brunson. I saw a thing at the end of the game and just like, nah, I'm not talking to you, Fat Joe. But I was out there. I've been there one time to Dodger Stadium, and like out of the blue, I don't even know if this was advertised. I didn't see it, but all of a sudden Lupe Fiasco is standing on one of the dugouts, just giving me like a 3 to 4 song concert before the game. I was like, awesome. Whoever's playing that concert before the game, I want to see the Yankees out there doing RPOs. I want to see them
RPOs
or pitcher fielding
PFPs.
What's an R?
Run pass option. RPOs are run pass option.
I'm going to make
about college football.
I want to see them doing that too. I want to see them doing RPOs, turning double plays. I want to see them doing all the fundamentals just to shut them up.
I want just like the coaches go out and hit like 500 fungos before the game and just have the guys ready
pepper,
to go.
Baby. Just play pepper.
Couple things, just so everybody knows, they play on Apple TV on Friday, 10 o'clock.
I guess I got to reactivate my Apple TV subscription.
Very annoying.
He'll be asleep.
Oh wait, no, Friday. Yeah. So like I said, it doesn't matter. No, I've been watching that Friends and Neighbor show with John Hamm. So we've got Apple TV fired up, ready to go.
And also, I saw a thing on Twitter that I believe it's only 3 Yankee position players were playing in the World Series that'll be playing in this series.
Judge, Volpe, Wells.
Yeah. Jazz is hurt. Obviously, a lot of turnover. So
wow, only 3.
No? Crazy, right? And I don't think if Rodon doesn't.
Oh, Grisham. I guess
he was there.
Grisham was on the roster. Yeah, Dominguez was on the roster.
Okay. And
you also have it's like, you're coming in with Max Fried. So we have a different we have a different ace coming in.
The pitching staff is the biggest difference.
Different, but I'm saying different starting ace, different first baseman.
No
Wizzo. So no one's staring at each other. Max Fried, damn well is covering that bag.
No Nestor Cortez.
You got
Grand slams.
Yeah, right. Well, maybe then Ryan Yarbrough. He's starting.
Ryan Yarbrough would never.
What a dependable guy. Dependable guy.
That's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. And once again, go to linkedin.com/Bronx if you want to post a job for free over there. We'll talk to you again next Thursday morning.